Alright, folks, another album review for you. Banged out a couple today online. I got one more right here. And this is a new band that I've not heard of before. So new to me. And the band name is Misanthrope Monarch. And the album is Regress to the Saturnine chapter. And for your information, Misanthrope Monarch is actually my gender pronoun in Canada. Just thought I'd let you know. Anyway, yeah, this band is basically combining thrash metal and death metal, and definitely some elements of melodic death metal, especially in the Swedish scene, if you will, the Scandinavian kind of death metal take. A lot of bands from that genre are in Sweden. And yeah, it's a great album. Very pleased that they did a top-notch job with this recording and deliver plenty of memorable riffs and some good guitar solos that are, like I said, focused more on the melodic than how you would expect a lot of thrash bands, especially, if they're in the vein of like Slayer, where you have a lot of tremolo bar kind of wanking and kind of a frantic scale runs, and just, it's just it's creating a kind of a mood of chaos. I've never been a big fan of Slayer's guitar solos for the most part. I think the Kerry King especially is pretty crappy when it comes to guitar solos from a musical standpoint. It fits Slayer, but compared to, even Kirk Hammett creates a hell of a lot better guitar solos than Kerry. Anyway, so they've got that element, but every track seems it's got some memorable headbanging, thrashy riffs going on. It's just got an extra layer and level of heaviness, which I guess you would, from the death metal approach to it, especially with the vocals, pretty good. Not the best I've ever heard, but they're solid. The lyrics and the words are intelligible, so you can actually understand what the hell he's saying, which is always a huge plus for me. Kinda, I guess, certain vocalists that would kind of remind me of this guy would be Steve Tucker of Morbid Angel, Adam the First Sinner of Hate, and maybe barely slightly Michael Agrafelt of Opeth and Bloodbath. So kind of maybe if you meshed all those together, you'd have a kind of an idea of what the guy sounds like. But fits the music well, gives it, like I said, that extra layer of brutality. And surprisingly, this album is not super long, which I guess you could expect from a thrash metal band. Usually, other than like Metallica, which they're known for, at least in their early days, for really long songwriting, but their level, at least for the first few albums, the musicianship and the compositions were at another level, which is why those albums are touted as some of the best of all time. These guys, yeah, they like I said, it's 11 tracks, about 35 minutes plus, and there is a kind of there's an instrumental track basically. It's called Black Sirens Lurking, and it starts off kind of with an acoustic part, and then kicks into the more of the metal part, which is kind of a melancholy, somber, eerie type feel to it. But they don't, like I said, there's not too many surprises. It's just well crafted songs. There's the occasional kind of riff wizardry in there, but you'll definitely be headbanging to this kind of style of thrash. It definitely the biggest highlight of it is just the heavy ass riffs, and very catchy but heavy, and especially when you line it up with that fast double bass going right along with the fast riffing. It just pummeling, and it just gives you that extra thrashiness. But a lot like a lot of bands like this. The drumming's solid, plays its part, but it's not a standout where you're like with a lot of bands I've reviewed. The not necessarily, oh, I got to find out who this guy is, like you might with, like I said, John Longstreth from Origin and Angel Corpse, who, or like George Coleus of Nile or somebody like that, where you kind of, or even Flo from Cryptopsy. But anyway, like I said, it's solid. It's real pounding. You've got kind of those more mid-paced blasts where, like I said, it fits real well with the more of the power chord, kind of crunchiness. And you might have like an occasional, I hate to use the term breakdown because deathcore kind of made that term kind of a joke, as deathcore as a genre is a joke. But the more moments where they're chugging on the power chords, the vocals are brutal as hell going on behind it, and it's more, the tempo changes a little bit, and that's kind of what is also where the guitar solos are concerned. It kind of gives you a little bit of a breather, and you've got your typical kind of chord progression, power chords kind of going in the background, like, and the guy's soloing over it. More melodic, like I said, is compared to a lot of the, like I said, the whammy bar bombing and just kind of frantic shredding on the higher scales or higher strings on the guitar, like you usually find in thrash metal. But yeah, I mean, if you're a fan of thrash, but you're not like a fan, like I said, if you're not a fan of like Origin because it's too kind of chaotic and too kind of in your face and intense, this dials it back, a little, quite a, not quite a lot, but enough that it's a little more approachable, and anybody that's really into thrash metal that doesn't mind death metal vocals on top of it, and isn't opposed to that, because some people don't like death metal simply because of the vocals. I get a lot of people that say, oh, the music's awesome, but once the vocals kick in, I just can't stand it, which is a shame. Actually, when like I said, if I had to take my mom, drive my mom somewhere or whatever, or be in the car for whatever reason and put a CD in, she actually doesn't mind some of the death metal like stuff, like Carcass and stuff, like the Heartwork and things like that. But the vocals just, she was like, change the song or something. So it's kind of funny. Even my mom doesn't mind some of the Metallica type stuff too. Yeah, so I definitely recommend this album. I'm not sure if they've got any previous discography, or if they're a newer band. I didn't look into it too much. I figured I'd give my first impressions when it's fresh in my mind. I've been playing a little World of Warcraft and just putting on different albums and listening to them. And this one, like I said, if you're a thrash fan, it'll be right up your alley. Definitely you'll play some of these, songs over and over. Trail of the Heretic, and Cosmic Maze are the last two, the Omega Embrace. I mean, there's just a lot of really memorable songs on here they're for less minutes. They get in there to get the job done. You've got, you hit that really catchy, memorable, heavy riff, couple times through, you get the solo, maybe get a little bit of a transition and tempo between these parts, and then you're done, which is, great for a quick listen. So it's another one of these albums where you can just pop it on and listen to it from track 1 to track 11, and you'll be satisfied. So Misanthrope, Monarch, Regress to the Saturnine chapter. I haven't looked at the lyrics yet, so I can't really talk about that. But a lot of times people don't really care about lyrics when it comes to heavy metal. They just there for the music. All right, yeah, so that's it for this review. Check these guys out. I'm not sure if they have any tracks to sample online. I wasn't able to find anything for Origin, unfortunately, other than some drum cam or drum tracks with John Longstreth, playing and watching his performance in the studio and with the track playing. Wasn't able to find individual tracks, and I'm always kind of leery about uploading stuff to YouTube that belongs to the band, because that's kind of counterproductive to how I like to do it when it comes to people buying the album and supporting these guys, or at least going out and seeing them live and buying some merchandise or something. Because like I said, a lot of these guys are part-time, they're probably part-time work and then doing this, or they're full-time work and they're doing the band thing. So they don't have the luxury of the, the pop stars and all that are making, gazillions of dollars and putting out a bunch of cookie cutter crap. Anyway, yep, check the album out. I've got some other albums and bands lined up. Some of them are more in the kind of the prog rock style, and maybe not as heavy. But I will listen to the new Wintersorg album, and that may be the next one that I do. And those of you who are familiar with Wintersorg, he's the he's been the vocalist for Borknagar for quite a while, and plus he's done like I said, his own solo project Wintersorg, which he's got quite a few albums out. So definitely one of my favorite vocalists, and I think most of the Wintersorg, or if all the songs are in Norwegian, so it's always interesting to hear someone sing in a different language, especially something, like Scandinavian languages. They have their own kind of interesting cadence and enunciation and stuff. So it's always kind of interesting to see how it fits in with the music. But anyway, that's it for this one, folks. Check out the album, Misanthrope Monarch, Regress to the Saturnine chapter. Take it easy.